Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Today's March 15th, 2016, known as the Ides of March, in remembrance of the assassination of Julius Caesar, who was killed on this date, March 15th, in the year 44 BC. He was assassinated on the Senate floor, being stabbed multiple times. I don't think it's any coincidence that we're getting this headline from CNN today on the Ides of March: GOP's Day of Reckoning, with Donald Trump red in the face. Before we get to this, what I want to talk about is Donald Trump's past week of mainstream media headlines. There's been the supposed assault of a Breitbart news contributor, a woman, by Donald Trump's campaign manager. There's been the assault of a black man at a North Carolina rally on March 9th, the day after. In Chicago on March 11th, his rally was canceled because of the headlines from 2 days earlier in North Carolina and because of all the divisive rhetoric that his campaign has been surrounded by. And I don't think the cancellation in Chicago was any surprise. In fact, I think it was all part of the planned agenda. As I've been pointing out, going back to last summer, since Donald Trump began his campaign, he's been running on the politics of division, and not by coincidence. He is an actor agent, a puppet, fulfilling his part of the agenda in this very divisive agenda being put out by our mainstream media, our government, and the powers that be. We are living in a time where we're being bombarded with racially divisive headlines, shootings, and more. So in this video, what I want to do is review all of these stories from the past week, show you what's suspicious about all of them, with the hope, with the goal of waking people up to the contrived agenda we're living out, and the reason Donald Trump's getting all of this media attention in the first place. None of these stories are natural, they're not organic, they're all contrived, and they're meant to work people up and divide us as a people. So let's go back to March 8th, International Women's Day. On International Women's Day, supposedly, the campaign manager of Donald Trump assaulted a female reporter for Breitbart News who has since resigned. The headline came out March 11th, but the story stems from March 8th, and I want to show you everything that's suspicious about this. It supposedly happened in Florida on 3/8. This is interesting because Florida has gematria of 38. If you're new to my channel, I talk about the language of gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, which dates back to Pythagoras and probably much longer. And with regards to Pythagoras, it should be noted that in the time of Rome, in the time of Julius Caesar, there was a political party known as the Pythagoreans. They were very powerful. This was one of their most important practices, gematria, coding words into numbers. And it said that Pythagoras was a Freemason. And this practice of coding numbers into words is still a practice of the Freemasons. It's actively used in our media. If you learn this language, you will see how it's coded into headlines every single day. And to think this is a secret amongst a group of people, this secret society, the Freemasons. This is esoteric knowledge not known to the masses. That's why when it's presented to people, they dismiss it right away because it's not in their working set of knowledge. You know, as little kids, we're all taught the alphabet, the alphabetic order, but we're not taught the numerical sequence behind the letters, which is very important and with no doubt is which the English alphabet is based on. English is based on gematria. Our alphabet was created with the principles of gematria in mind. Again, a secret kept from the people. So anyhow, in gematria, Florida sums to 38. This story stems from March 8th, 3/8. It is the Zionist Jews who control the media, who wage these tactics of divide and conquer. Major connection between Judaism and Freemasonry. The word Jew also has gematria of 38. Think about Jews in Florida. No secret. The campaign manager for Donald Trump is named Corey Lewandowski. This is the man who supposedly assaulted the female Breitbart reporter. March 8th this year, because it's a leap year, was the 68th day of the year. And 68 is an important number to Donald Trump. His full name, Donald John Trump, in Pythagorean gematria sums to 68. This troubling story stems from the 68th day of the year. Brother Berg, who runs the website at Extra Capsa, who learned from this channel and now does his own work with his own unique spin, he documented these 68 connections between Donald Trump many months ago, showing that there is a connection to 68 and Donald Trump. So it's no wonder we get this story on the 68th day of the year. Donald John Trump equals 68. So does Barack Obama. Remember, Donald Trump got lots of national news attention at the beginning of Obama's presidency because he started the birther argument. Birther has gematria 44. Obama, the 44th president. Now in the final year plus of Obama's presidency, we're getting more coverage of Donald Trump than the president himself. Donald Trump has dominated the mainstream media airwaves for more than a year. And only the mainstream media has the power to do that. They have chosen to shine the light on Donald Trump every day, hours of each day, since he announced his presidency. This is all part of a big show, part of a big agenda. The comb-over is the man they have chosen to be the actor agent. In gematria, The Apprentice equals 68, Donald Trump's hit TV show. We got this game show host running for president, this stooge. Donald Trump first started his own business in the year 68. Remember, with the $1 million his dad gave him, which he actually was like, no big deal. $1 million in the 60s, that's a lot of money. One of his main buildings is Trump Tower, which is 68 floors tall. It's in New York City, near where his headquarters are. And he also has a spot in Florida called Mar-a-Lago, which in gematria equals 68. Remember, this story comes out of Florida. He's also pointed out the character Biff Tannen in Back to the Future has a lot of connections to Donald Trump. I'm going to link in the description this blog post from Brother Berg. You can read about a whole lot more 68s in Donald Trump. He also points out how in the Simpsons cartoon from 2000 about Donald Trump running for president, this shot from the cartoon and this shot from his campaign in 2015, very similar. And I'll remind everybody, that Simpsons episode, it's about Donald Trump being so disastrous as a president that it sets it up for the first female president. And I actually think the parallel is Donald Trump's horrible campaign for president is going to pave the way for Hillary Clinton, somebody that almost nobody likes. But because the options will be Donald and her in our two-party voting system, the giant fraud of a system that it is, people will be left with no choice but to either not vote or vote for Hillary. So moving on, the date of this story, abusing the woman by the campaign manager, a date with 47 numerology. 47 significant because the word president has gematria of 47. So does the word Caesar. I bring that up because it's the Ides of March, anniversary date of the death of Julius Caesar. Both president and Caesar have gematria of 47. Here's the gematria of Breitbart News. Remember this gematria, it connects to the rest of the story. Breitbart News in simple English gematria sums to 156, special number. 911 is the 156th prime number. The allegation is this: a Breitbart reporter says she has filed charges against Donald Trump's campaign manager, alleging that he grabbed her and bruised her while she was attempting to ask a question. The incident came from 115 Eagle Tree Terrace, Trump National, on March 8th, 2016. So the name of the woman who was bruised, who's filing the charges, Michelle Fields, has gematria of 68. Again, this story comes from the 68th day of the year, which was International Women's Day because it's a leap year. Typically, it's on the 67th day of the year. Fitting that her name matches the numerology of the date and this number that's important to Donald Trump. The address, that 115, also stands out. Freemasons, the plural equals 115, a number that often gets coded. Trump National has gematria of 174, just like New World Order. Just like June 16th, I should have wrote that up here as well. June 16th, if you write that out as a word, has gematria of 174. That's the date Trump announced he was running for president. Also, Trump National has this gematria of 57, just like Breitbart News equals 57. This woman worked for Breitbart News, a conservative publication. And see, I think this is all part of the agenda too. You know, they're trying to make a lot of people hate Donald Trump from all angles. Left, right. You know, you got the Republicans up there saying he's a fake conservative. It's just all part of the big show that's about the buildup for Hillary. And I've been saying this consistently since Donald Trump announced. And I've been saying Hillary is to be the next president since before even Donald Trump announced. I said, just watch. They'll put on some show to set it all up for Hillary. And for all of you who are saying, well, what about Benghazi and what about emails? Where have you heard about those stories? Have you heard about them in the mainstream media? The mainstream media doesn't mean anything. It's all just part of a narrative. I don't know why anyone's worked up about Hillary's emails, Benghazi. That's not what you should be worked up about. I know she's a horrible sellout and an agent for the New World Order, but these stories are all just put out there to just work you up. They're all nonsense and bullshit. So for all of you who are worked up over those stories, time to wake up. Hillary's emails doesn't even matter. These people are laughing at you. Here's the woman who supposedly got her arm bruised, Miss number 68 from day 68. The actress agent, here's her tweet of her arm. Does look like some bruising, but you know, on a camera you can do a lot. It could be makeup, she could have bruised herself. Everybody's seen Fight Club at this point. Remember how Edward Norton beats himself up? These people are all just playing their part. There's a reason this story stems from International Women's Day. She tweets at 11:02, drop the 0, you got 112, the alternate dialing code for 911. Supposedly this man is who's responsible right here. This is Corey Lewandowski, supposedly the guy who did the bruising. Ben Terrace is the man who was supposedly there that witnessed the altercation. I noticed that Ben Terrace in gematria sums to the same thing as Breitbart News. The same thing as Trump National. No coincidence. He also has gematria of 47 and 110, numbers that connect to president. This is all about the presidential race. Coded characters, actor agents. If you read the report, people started resigning at Breitbart News. The first was Kurt Bardella. Kurt Bardella in gematria sums to 44. Right now, Obama's the 44th president, but only the 43rd person to be president. That's because Grover Cleveland counted as the 22nd and 24th president. That means the next president will be number 44. So Donald Trump's running to be the 44th president. The name Kurt Bardella equals 44. Likely not a coincidence, all part of the coding. In the recent hit show on Netflix, House of Cards, the episode that was season 4, episode number 4, titled Chapter 43, kind of like Obama, 43rd person, 44th president. The president gets assassinated in that episode. He survives, but he is shot, nearly dies. Predictive programming in your face. So anyhow, that was the initial reporting. Then days later, on March 14th, Pi Day, it was announced that Michelle Fields, the woman who was injured, and Ben Shapiro, the editor at Breitbart, both resigned because supposedly Breitbart sided with Donald Trump, saying there wasn't any evidence that this happened. Donald Trump has been out, campaigning, saying that Michelle Fields is a liar, these people are liars, the mainstream media is lying. Just like how he does about everything, just calls everybody a liar. It's all part of the divisiveness. It's all part of the show. It's all part of showing how he's not accountable, he's immature, he's rude, And what's sad is there really are a lot of people who are drawn in by Donald Trump and who are attracted to this presidency and are saying, yeah, he's a real American. He embodies qualities that I miss, that I like. which doesn't surprise me at all. I recognize the qualities of most Americans, and they're not good things. Ignorant people, selfish people. It's a nation of sociopaths out here. Take a look around. So of course they're going to be attracted to a fellow sociopath. That's what this country breeds. That's what the New World Order agenda breeds. They're not building good human beings. All of us who had to spend all these years in school, how much time do you remember learning to be a good person? Not very much, right? Unless you had a special teacher who went out of their way. So anyway, here's the characters who resigned. Ben Shapiro, born January 15th. There's that sequence of 115 again. Remember, the incident stemmed at the address of 115. Born in the year 84. Ben Shapiro, his birthday, January 15th, 1984. Date numerology of 119, like Star of David, like All-Seeing Eye, numbers that are routinely coded. A date with a life lesson number of 38. This is the editor who resigned. Remember, the incident stems from March 8th in Florida with all the 38 coding. The story happened his resignation came on March 14th, 2016, a date with 53 numerology, matching his name gematria. Ben Shapiro equals 53. The news stories are always this way, contrived by the numbers. Days of resignation, also a date with 33 numerology, favorite number of the PSYOPs. So him and Michelle Fields resigned on Pi Day. And also from March 8th, also out of Florida, let's not forget this story, the story of the pro-gun activist. I have a video on this. The mother shot in the back, her name Guilt. Here she is, Jamie Guilt, shot on March 8th by her son, supposedly, on International Women's Day. The name Jamie in gematria equals 38, just like Florida. All stories contrived by the numbers. And it's no doubt that this abuse against women by the campaign manager, this shooting of a mother, it's no coincidence that these stories fell on International Women's Day. It's all part of the subtle, sick joke. So, that story aside, let's move to the story that came from the next day, March 9th, out of North Carolina, a racially divisive story. White protesters fighting with black protesters, or I guess technically white attendees at the Trump rally fighting with black protesters. And North Carolina, South Carolina have been used numerous times in the past few years for these racially divisive stories. Think about Walter Scott getting shot in the back on the anniversary of the Martin Luther King Jr. assassination. On the 47-year anniversary of the death of MLK, we got the shooting of Walter Scott in the back in Charleston. Then exactly 74 days later, we got the story of the shooting at the Charleston church by the white young man. And then they gave us all these soap opera details talking about how the cops picked him up and took him to Burger King. All of this stuff is just meant to piss people off. None of these stories are real. They're all contrived propaganda. They're all meant to divide people. That story came on June 17th, the day after Trump announced he was running for the president, the Charleston church shooting. I have videos on the Walter Scott shooting, the Charleston shooting. These are all propaganda. Nobody died. Nobody got hurt. All just meant to work people up, divide over race. All stories by the numbers, and by these same numbers over and over. So this rally on March 9th, last Wednesday, was in Cumberland County, CC. C is the third letter, CC 33, the number of Freemason obsession. It's the Freemasons and the Zionists who control the media, again, who do all this by the numbers. Cumberland has gematria of 39 as well, and this story came on March 9th. Look at how the county syncs up with the date. This is what I mean when these things are planned out, these stories. They're planned out by the date, by the location, by the numbers. Cumberland the Big Way also equals 93 like propaganda. March 9th is also written 9/3, day before the month. The white man who did the assaulting and who had the headlines that lasted through the weekend saying we need to kill black people, which CNN kept up as its top story for days. His name, John McGraw. The gematria of 49 stands out, as well as the gematria of 112. 49 is the number of revelation based on the 39 books of the Old Testament. These numbers often coded together. 112, again, the alt dialing code for 911. We saw this number on the timestamp of the bruises on the woman's arm. John McGraw was arrested the day after the rally for what happened, a date with 49 numerology corresponding with his name. No coincidences there. The sergeant who arrested, who was in the media headlines, Sergeant Sean Swain. Sean, a name with 39 gematria. Swain, 66. Revelation, the 66th book of the Bible. Sergeant Sean Swain, SSS. What's that remind you of? Also sums to 43. March equals 43. This story coming out of March. Ides of March. The man who was assaulted is named Rakeem Jones. Name gematria 44 and 116, both numbers that stand out. 44, a number that has shown up in the killing of many important people in this nation, including the two most famous black civil rights leaders. Malcolm X, dead on a date with 44 numerology. His assassin got 44 years in prison. His assassin's name was Thomas Hagen, which equals 44 in gematria. Then there's Martin Luther King Jr., who died on 4/4, April 4th. Talked many times about the connections between 44 and April 4th. First president to die in office died on April 4th. Abraham Lincoln dreamed on April 4th he would be shot, only to be shot 10 days later on Good Friday. Obama, the 44th president from the land of Lincoln. The name Abraham equals 44. Honest Abe equals 44. So many parallels, and I have so many videos on these topics. With regards to Rakeem Jones, that 116 gematria, flip that upside down, you have a 911. Likely no coincidence. This story also comes on the back of similar incidents in the past year. Other black protesters being assaulted at Trump rallies. Trump saying people deserve it. They deserve it. He'll pay for their lawyer if they beat him. And then, look at what Donald Trump says after his rallies get protested. He says, oh, my rallies aren't violent. I'm not advocating for violence. This is just all part of the show. And the mainstream media doesn't really call him out. They just let him get away with it. This is the same mainstream media that destroyed Howard Dean for going, woo-ah! You know? The mainstream media destroyed somebody running for president over just going, woo-ah! But Donald Trump, man, he can make horrible comments about everybody. On race, religion, sex, disability. This guy even made fun of handicapped people. And he's gotten away with all of it. Ben Carson comes out and says he's a real black dude from Detroit, and Obama's essentially a white boy from Kansas, Hawaii. And the mainstream media says, oh, Ben Carson, not presidential. Presidential candidates don't make remarks like that. Unless they're Donald Trump, then they can make as many as they want, you know? And don't forget, Ben Carson, a stooge, an actor as well. They all are. The mainstream media just reinforces the way they want people to think and stereotype through these actor agents. So, 2 days after what happened in North Carolina, we get the cancellation of the Trump rally in Chicago, which is no coincidence. March 11th, a very special date to the Masons, to the Zionists, to this nation's history. So many things that happen on March 11th normally have something connected to it that comes days after, months after. In history, we entered World War II on March 11th. The Lend-Lease Act was signed on that date, making U.S. Navy ports accessible to the Allies, our first entrance into the war. Then on September 11th, 6 months later that year, Pentagon construction began, and FDR said Navy vessels have the right to attack Axis ships in Allied waters. So FDR gave the okay for our Navy to attack the perceived enemy, Axis powers, Japan, Germany, etc. That was all before Pearl Harbor. March 11th, September 11th, the days we got involved in the war, then Pearl Harbor happened by the numbers. Never seen my videos on Pearl Harbor, World War II? World War equals 114. Pearl Harbor equals 114. Holocaust equals 114. And a whole lot more. Right now, we're living in the time of the 114th Congress. The word executive equals 114. So anyway, March 11th in Chicago, which is the Zionist Masonic Mecca of this nation, you could say that and New York both are, this happens. And it's no coincidence. This is where Obama's masters are. This is where Trump's masters are. This is where the masters of so many things in this nation are. Chicago. So for it to be canceled on this day, I guarantee you it was all planned from the beginning. Trump calls off rally, has the gematria of 77 and 86, 77 a special number, to Chicago, which is divided up into 77 neighborhoods. Judaism equals 77. The American meridian's the 77th meridian that cuts through D.C. 86, also a special number. Symbol, triangle, pyramid, all equal 86. Symbolic moment, the Trump rally getting canceled on March 11th in Chicago. If you took the time to watch my 1,000 videos, I bet you in 80% of those videos I talk about Chicago. Always connected to these stories. You ever ask yourself why WGN is a national news network? It's because the Zionists want their information out there. They control that. WGN's got that 44 gematria as well. So anyhow, this date, March 11th, 2016, it had 50 numerology connecting to Donald, connecting to America. The day before this happened on March 10th, CNN had up this headline for a lot of the day, Castro cars into reverse pivot. And I was asking myself, what is this headline about? I mean, why are they keeping this up here all day? It had the coding of 113311. You know, it was making me wonder what was going to happen the next day. And then the big news headline was Trump's rally getting canceled. It should be known that Hillary Clinton is from Chicago. Bill Clinton, who was born Bill Blythe, his biological father, Mr. Blythe, died on a business trip coming back from Chicago. Check out my videos on the name Bill Clinton and how it came to be. And also Bernie Sanders, he went to college in Chicago. A Jew himself, currently 74 years old, Jewish equals 74. If you never read about Jewish history in America, you should. The Jews know that without them, there'd be no America. It was their bankers who financed the American Revolutionary War. Gematria, mostly a Jewish practice, Masonic practice. All along, these codes been using in secret. So then we get these headlines on March 11th. They put out all sorts of headlines. Trump tensions erupt. Look at what we have. White police arm on a black man. No coincidence. This is what they're going for. The divisiveness. The headline has gematria of 85, which connects to the name Hillary. No coincidence. This kind of stuff's been going on all year. I've documented this in hundreds of posts before. You can go back and watch my old videos, my Donald Trump playlist. It's kind of coding going on all year with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Later they updated it, fist fly at Trump rally, but give us the same divisive picture. This has the gematria of 86, like symbol, triangle, pyramid, just like the first headline. The reflection of 68, we talked about that number in the beginning. Trump blast planned attack, Emphasis on the planned attack. Planned attack has gematria 41 and 122. 122 another Freemason signature. 41, important number to this nation. USA equals 41. It's the 13th prime number. The nation began with 13 colonies. Then the next day in Kansas City, March 12th, a protester tried to charge Trump while he was up on the stage. Protester tries to get at Trump. More 122 coding. Another important number to those Freemasons. Always coding out their headlines. And with regards to this nation, March 11th, so many things, again, in this country's history have started on March 11th. The World Trade Centers, the public education system, and a million other things. I have a post on this. It's one of my first posts. USA breaks down to 311. U is the 21st letter. 2 plus 1 becomes 3. S is the 19th letter. 1 plus 9 becomes 10. 1 plus 0 becomes 1. A is the first letter. So USA breaks down to 311. In Jewish gematria, the beast equals 311. Think about what the beast is. Think about what this nation is. Warmongering empire that began with a genocide, has been at war ever since, has brought more suffering into the world than anything else. I point out that Rhode Island has Jewish gematria of 311 as well because it's the 13th colony, a projection of what was to come, the United States of America. And beast in simple English gematria sums to 47. Think about this nation's birthday. 4th day, 7th month. Of course, the word president also has gematria 47. On the March 11th protest, CNN interviewed these people. If you watch their coverage, also in their articles, Maria Hernandez. So often the people that CNN uses, the names code out to sync up with the story. Maria Hernandez equals 74, like Masonic, the reflection of 47. Maria Hernandez equals 137, the big way, the 33rd prime number. 47 and 33, Masonic signatures. Another person interviewed, Marlon Patrick. Marlon Patrick, gematria of 31 and 33, Scottish Rite Freemasonry, ranging degrees 31 through 33. Scottish equals 113, corresponding with the date, March 11th. Another person interviewed, Debbie Patrick. They get a Marlon Patrick. They get a Debbie Patrick. Supposedly they're not related. I think they're just going for that Patrick 33 gematria, numbers they love to code. They say there were 32 arrests. America equals 32. Okay, so again, this happened on March 11th, which in many parts of the world is written 11/3, day before the month. 113 corresponds with Scottish, as in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, the branch of Freemasonry that dominates this country. Donald Trump himself roots from Scotland. And as we just talked about a moment ago, in two of the headlines, they coded the number 122. The day after the Chicago rally was the Kansas City rally, where the protester charged the stage. So March 11th, protest canceled in Chicago. March 12th, a delay when a protester tried to charge Trump. And then Trump, being the tough guy that he is, said he was ready for him. It's too bad the Secret Service didn't let the guy through. But anyway, this is what stands out to me about March 11th, this big show out, these big headlines from the day, the headlines that dominated the media. If you haven't seen my prior video on May 23rd and why it's a date to mark on your calendar, let me quickly review what you might have missed out on. I'm going to link this video down in the description with the Brother Berg post and more. But what you need to know is that in history, there was an assassination attempt on George Wallace by Arthur Bremer. That happened in May 1972, 44 years ago, this coming May. And the movie Taxi Driver is based on the character Arthur Bremer, who actually shot George Wallace. In the recent Kalamazoo, Michigan shooting hoax, and it was a hoax, it was a tribute to Arthur Bremer and Taxi Driver. Watch this video. I go into it in great detail. Right now, they are comparing Donald Trump to George Wallace in the mainstream media, saying there hasn't been a bigger bigot to run for president since George Wallace. They're saying Donald Trump embodies George Wallace. But what they're not saying when they make these comparisons in the media is that George Wallace was shot. And I have a feeling that there's going to be a surprise story for Donald Trump with an assassination attempt. And this will be part of the ongoing agenda meant to provoke people. As sad as it is, there's millions of people who are drawn into this Trump campaign, and you know these people are going to be outraged when this headline breaks. And we already know, to support Donald Trump, you have to be crazy. You have to have a few screws loose. So you don't want to provoke these people. The media knows what they're doing. And this is exactly what they're doing. So anyhow, from March 11th, the date of the Chicago rally cancellation, to May 23rd, the 144th day of the year, the number connected to assassination, just show you this real quick. When you write out 44, remember Donald Trump's running to be the 44th president, it sums to 144. When you write out April 4th, it too sums to 144. These numbers show up again and again and again in political assassination. JFK was the 44th term president. He died on the first day of Sagittarius, which has gematria of 144. No other astrology symbol does. His brother, Bobby, would die at 1:44 in the morning, and a whole lot more. So anyway, from March 11th to the 144th day of the year, May 23rd, is 74 days. In both the Kalamazoo shooting hoax and the shooting from later that week, Heston, Kansas, the number 523 was coded, which is a lot like May 23rd. So anyway, from March 11th to May 23rd, a span of 74 days, a Masonic signature, Masonic equals 74. This number also has to do with sacrifice. Jesus and cross both equal 74. Jesus crucified at age 33, supposedly. The story on March 11th, they said the protest that was canceled, it was supposed to take place in a Chicago pavilion, has this gematria of 144. If you come to my blog and type Donald Trump 144, he's actually been getting a lot of coded headlines lately with 144 in them. This also took place in Illinois, the land of Lincoln, the land where Obama gave his acceptance speech. Obama, the 43rd man to be president, but the 44th president, accepted the presidency on a date with 43 numerology in Grant Park, which has a gematria of 43. Notice Illinois has the gematria of 45 and 54. Obama currently 54. In case I didn't say so already, we talked about the 122 coding in the headlines out of Chicago. The next day he was in Kansas City. Kansas City has that gematria of 122. Sorry if I said that already. Just wanted to point that out. The headlines might have been foreshadowing what the next big incident was the day after. 122, also a Freemason signature. Here's that headline, Protest Disrupt KC Rally. Gematria of 96, Freemason signature, also 321, like a countdown. From March 12th to May 23rd is a span of 73 days. Sacrifice equals 73. And I really do think we're counting down day by day, headline by headline, to something much bigger. Donald Trump then blames the things happening at his rallies on Bernie Sanders. You know, and for all the people out there, all the idiots in this country that listen to that and accept that, it's just pathetic. I mean, have you heard Bernie Sanders talking about beating anybody up, making these provoking remarks, you know, dividing groups, putting down, you know, this religion, that woman, this special needs person? No, that's been Donald Trump for almost a year. And look at what he does. Blames people for what he's been provoking. These are the qualities of many Americans too. People that aren't accountable, who do nothing but blame, always looking for someone else to blame. Donald Trump's just reinforcing this. These are who his supporters are. Irresponsible human beings. And there's many of them in this nation. In fact, it's the vast majority. This happened in Dayton, Ohio, which has the gematria of 54. Again, connecting to Illinois, connecting to Obama's age. Osama bin Laden died at 54. 54, a number that's connected to sacrifice. The man who charged the stage, Thomas De Massimo, has gematria of 88. Guess what Trump equals? Trump equals 88, just like words such as poison, words such as program. And this is what Donald Trump's contributing to with his campaign rhetoric. The poisoner in chief. So here's today's headline, GOP's Day of Reckoning, another 96 coded, no coincidence. CNN, a completely Masonic network, always coding out this Freemason number. Freemason equals 96, the ranging degrees of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, 31, 32, 33. Added up, they sum to 96. There must be 100 plus posts on my blog of Donald Trump headlines with 96 coded into it, going back to last June. From today to May 23rd is a span of 69 days, or 9 weeks and 6 days. From today until the election, which is on November 8th, is a span of 239 days, a very heavily coded this number this past year. The nation's currently 239 years old. And with regards to the election falling on November 8th, 11/8, the word death in Jewish gematria equals 118. I think we're going to see some very political related deaths to the upcoming presidential vote before then. And I think the date that the vote falls on foreshadows this. Remember, all of this stuff planned out decades in advance. We're living out an agenda written long ago. This day of reckoning, again, comes on March 15th, today. Ides of March, the day Julius Caesar was assassinated in 44 BC. 44, the kill number. Something interesting about the name Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar in gematria sums to 40 and 58. Freemasonry equals 58. And the big way, Julius Caesar equals 139, just like Freemasonry, the big way. Again, Caesar equals 47, like president, like beast. Obey and authority equal 47. Judge and gavel equal 47. Jury equals 74. Mafia in Jewish gematria equals 47. The first ever video I did on Donald Trump was when he made these racist remarks against Mexicans, and then days later, in our media, there was a contrived story about an illegal immigrant finding a federal agent's gun on the pier in San Francisco and accidentally shooting a 30-year-old woman. You can go back and watch that video from last June. It's been all the same ever since. Donald Trump, months later, said, "I am Batman." Then we had 3 deaths related to Batman the very next day, including a man who dresses up as Batman and makes donations at children's hospitals. This isn't Donald Trump's fault any more than he's the actor agent. He's just playing the part of the agenda, is the message I'm trying to pound home. So again, Donald Trump announced officially that he would run for president on June 16th, 2015. This was a date with numerology of 57, an interesting number. The majority of presidents at the beginning of this country were inaugurated at age 57. It's also a date with numerology of 30 and 21, numbers connected to Saturn, keeper of time. This date, June 16th, also has gematria of 174, like New World Order. No doubt He is part of the New World Order agenda. So many people think the New World Order is something that's coming. A mistaken understanding. The New World Order is what established this nation. The New World Order is a Masonic, Zionist, Jesuit, secret society order, banker order that has existed since before this nation began. The New World Order founded this nation. The New World Order is responsible for the genocide of the natives and everything that's happened since. From June 16th to the date of the election is a span of 511 days. Remember in the beginning we were talking about 115, its connection to Freemasons. The beating came at the address 115 Eagle Street. That Ben Shapiro had a January 15th birthday. Anyhow, the reflection 511 is a number connected to Saturn. Saturn in Jewish gematria equals 511. Saturn is the keeper of time. And as I pointed out, Saturn the small way equals 21 and 30. Also connected to the date he began his presidential run. A run by the numbers. Saturn also has gematria of 93, another number connected to sacrifice, the number on crucifix. In the year 1968, there was the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. on 4/4 and Bobby Kennedy at 1:44 in the morning he passed. This year, before Election Day, we might see 2 political assassinations as well. They very well could be Barack Obama and Donald Trump. And both of those events will be planned, contrived hoaxes meant to provoke. Make America great again. What a joke. People need to wake up and recognize that America never was great. America was founded by horrible people and has been a nation that has existed for horrible purposes ever since. And that will be true until the people of this nation wake up, stop living the American dream, tune into the worldwide reality, and hold the powers that be accountable. I'm going to link this video on May 23rd. Got to cut this one off right here. It's been going on a long time. Hopefully you were able to absorb this information. Hopefully I didn't pack too much in. I very well might have. But haven't been able to do videos the last few days. We've been having a lot of power outages here. And so I wanted to get caught up with all these Donald Trump headlines. All right, until next time, Truth Seeker. Encore, almost forgot one of the most important points. With regards to the March 11th protest that canceled the Donald Trump rally, the first incident to take place in his ongoing campaign, there's another connection between the word protest and the date March 11th. Notice that in gematria, protest equals 113. It was the protest in Chicago that shut down the rally on 11/3 for March 11th. Again, it is the Scottish Rite Freemasons who control this nation, who control the media, who contrive these stories by the numbers, and who largely operate out of Chicago. So, for those of you who think this is all coincidence, I can't help you. For those of you who get it, please help spread this knowledge. We are living out an agenda. The only reason we're even hearing about Donald Trump is because of what a monumental rigged joke we live in. And again, you learn this language, you learn to see the truth and see through the lies in the headlines. It's contrived madness. It's all about dividing us. Until next time.